The Battle of San Juan Hill, also known as the Battle for the San Juan Heights, was a decisive battle of the Spanish-American War. The San Juan Heights was a north-south running elevation about 2 kilometers east of Santiago de Cuba, Cuba. The names San Juan Hill and Kettle Hill were given to the location by the Americans. This fight for the heights was the bloodiest and most famous battle of the war. It was also the location of the greatest victory for the Rough Riders, as claimed by the press, and its new commander, the future Vice President and later President, Theodore Roosevelt, who was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor in 2001 for his actions in Cuba. The American press at the time overlooked the fact that the Buffalo Soldiers of the 10th Cavalry and 24th Infantry Regiments had actually done much of the heaviest fighting. Background: Spanish General Arsenio Linares ordered 760 Spanish Army regular troops to hold the San Juan Heights against an American offensive on July 1, 1898. For unclear reasons, Linares failed to reinforce this position, choosing to hold nearly 10,000 Spanish reserves in the city of Santiago de Cuba. Spanish hilltop entrenchments, while typically well concealed, were not all correctly positioned for plunging fire, which made return fire at the advancing Americans more difficult. Most of the Spanish fortifications and trench lines were laid out along the geographic crest of the heights instead of the military crest. This meant that the fire from the Spanish troops would have difficulty hitting the advancing enemy when the attacking Americans reached the defilade at the foot of the heights. Once they began scaling the hill, however, the attackers would be in full view of the defenders, who could engage the Americans with both rifle and artillery fire. Most Spanish troops were recently arrived conscripts, but their officers were skilled in fighting Cuban insurgents. The Spanish were well equipped with supporting artillery, and all Spanish soldiers were armed with 7mm Mauser M1893 rifles, a modern repeating bolt-action weapon with a high rate of fire that used high-velocity cartridges and smokeless powder. Spanish artillery units were armed mainly with modern rapid-fire breech-loading cannon, again using smokeless powder. The American regular forces and troopers were armed with bolt-action Krag rifles chambered in the smokeless .30 Army caliber. However, U.S. artillery pieces were of an outmoded design, with a slow rate of fire. They also used less powerful black powder charges, which limited the effective range of support fire for U.S. troops. The Americans also had a 4-gun detachment of older-style hand-cranked Gatling guns in .30 Army caliber with swivel mounts to allow greater coverage. General William Rufus Shafter commanded 5th Army Corps, of about 15,000 troops in 3 divisions. Jacob F. Kent commanded the Corps' 1st Division, while Henry W. Lawton commanded the 2nd Division, and Joseph Wheeler led the Cavalry Division. Commanded the Dismounted Cavalry Division but was suffering from fever and had to turn over command to General Samuel S. Sumner. Shafter's plans to attack Santiago de Cuba called for Lawton's division to move north and reduce the Spanish stronghold at El Caney, a task which was to take about 2 hours. Then they were to join with the rest of the troops for the attack on the San Juan Heights. The remaining 2 divisions would move directly against the San Juan Heights, with Sumner in the center and Kent to the south. Shafter, too ill to personally direct the operations, set up his headquarters at El Pozo 2 miles from the heights and communicated via mounted staff offices. Order of battle. U.S. 5th Army Corps, Major General William Rufus Shafter. Corps Executive Officer, Major General Joseph Wheeler 1st Division, Brigadier General Jacob Ford Kent 1st Brigade, Brigadier General Hamilton S. Hawkins, consisted of the 6th and 16th Infantry Regiments, along with the 71st Infantry Regiment 2nd Brigade, Colonel E. P. Pearson, consisting of the 2nd, 10th, and 21st U.S. Infantry Regiments 3rd Brigade, Colonel Charles A. Wyckoff, consisting of the 9th, 13th and 24th U.S. Infantry Regiments. Cavalry Division, Major General Joseph Wheeler, Division Executive Officer Samuel S. Sumner was in command of the division when the battle began as General Wheeler was ill. Wheeler returned to the front once the battle was underway. 1st Brigade, Brigadier General Samuel S. Sumner, Brigade Executive Officer Colonel Henry K. Carroll, consisted of the 3rd U.S. Cavalry, 6th U.S. Cavalry and 9th U.S. Cavalry. 2nd Brigade, Brigadier General Leonard Wood, consisted of the 1st U.S. Cavalry, 10th U.S. Cavalry and 1st Volunteer Cavalry. The American assault line consisted of the following regiments. From the far left, attacking what later became known as San Juan Hill, was the 6th Infantry, the 9th Infantry, the 13th Infantry, the 16th Infantry, the 24th Infantry, the 10th Cavalry, with the 3rd Cavalry, 1st Volunteer Cavalry on the far right, attacking what later became known as Kettle Hill.